we go. So we are in the midst of the story toward the denouement, you could say, of the story of a family coming apart at the seams. What else can you say? The rage of Esav, which we looked at last time. There's always more to say about it. Still turning over in my mind. Haven't yet found any explanation that works for me in terms of appreciating why it is that Yitzchak Avinu cannot just say to Esav, here's a bracha for you too, no problem. First he says, well, I gave it away already. Maybe that was to clarify for Esav that he wasn't getting the same bracha and that he shouldn't expect it. No case, neither person was actually going to be getting the Birkat Avraham. That's only going to come at the end of the story, at the end of the Parsha, before Yaakov Avinu leaves home. And it actually says those words at the end of the Parsha. What we do learn, though, in Pasuk Mem Aleph, chapter 27, verse 41, is the fact that we hear from this perspective of the narration of the Torah that in the midst of all of the dialogues, there's also an internal dialogue that Esav is having himself. Vayistom Esav et Yaakov al habracha shebercho aviv, vayomer Esav bilibo yikruvu yemei evel aviv harga et Yaakov achi. Esav speaks to his heart. He's having a dialogue with himself. When my father dies, I don't want to upset my father. I'll kill my brother Yaakov. And Rashi points this out, that I shouldn't grieve my father, disturb him, make him feel whatever the word you want to throw in, feel uncomfortable, feel that something untoward has transpired. So I'll wait till he dies. Right now, there are so many problems with this, ranging from, why was that less of an affront to your father to kill your own brother? So little did he think of his kinship with Yaakov. Further, if he believes that there is a neshama that continues even after the reality of this world into a reality that is of the next world, so then he wouldn't have an attitude of once my father's dead, he won't be aware, he won't see, he won't know, right? Something like that. There is a debate by the Masechet Brachot on the degree to which the souls who have left the world have an awareness of this world. So that's, I guess, in a certain level, an open question. But what is not open to question is that Avinu Shabashamayim, our Father in heaven, that God himself has not only an awareness, but an expectation and a commandment of morality that one should not engage in untoward acts of violence, of murder. It's one of the Sheva Mitzvot B'nai Noach. It's not a secret. None of that holds a candle to the rage that animates the personality, the dark heart of Esav. Karen, question, comment? Please go ahead.
There we go.
No, you muted yourself. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I'm troubled. I don't know if it's just translation, but my translation says, may the days of mourning for my father draw near, which sounds not just like he's saying whenever my father dies, but he's actually saying the sooner the better. So for me, that if that's a correct translation, it is. Really
it is a plausible reading of it for sure. Yikruvu means not only when they come close, but maybe I hope they come close. The Radak says, I know that my father is near death. All right, so it's going to happen soon. So and you may Evel Aviv, there's not even the death of, but the mourning period for, the Radak says. My father will die, there'll be a mourning period, and then I'll take care of business. But you're right, there is maybe on a certain level, a certain what's the word? Unexpressed or subtly expressed unconscious wish.
From someone who we've been talking for several weeks now has so much kavod for his father, this doesn't seem like it fits that narrative. Yeah.
Fair point. And it very well might be that's what it means on a certain level, right? In the Medrash, it actually has a description that perhaps the issue here is the way in which Esav still is concerned about a Beit Din coming after him. And so he wants to be able to justify the action that he expects to take. If I kill him, so Shem and Aver will bring me to justice. They'll say you killed your brother. So I'll go get married to the family of Yishmael, and Yishmael will get into a fight with him, and Yishmael will kill him. And I'll, if the two of them get into a back and forth, Yishmael, remember, still from the generation of Yitzchak, if he'll come forward and make a complaint, I'll go after Yishmael to redeem the blood of my brother, etc. It'll be a whole back and forth, but it'll all be couched in a blood feud. Or conversely, maybe Esav will find out that Yaakov kills Yishmael, and then Esav will come because he's marrying into the family of Yishmael, something like that. The point is, he's already tummeling. How is he going to be able to express his desire for vengeance to kill his brother, and how will he contrive to make it happen in some way? But point well taken. Yikuravu, maybe there's some unconscious wish, like I hope it happens soon. Shelley, and then Tamar.
Okay, I'm not a fan of conspiracy theories, so I'm going to go with something that's a little bit more likely. Verse 2 in this chapter says that that Yitzchak summons Esav, and he says to him, I know not the day of my death. I have aged. That's how he starts this out. So
it's in the air, in other words.
Yes, it's in the air. And has anybody ever thought that maybe Esav is going to postpone this because he doesn't want to kill his father? If he kills his brother right away when the anger is so very, very hot now, that may hasten, even if he thinks his father's going to die, may hasten his father's death by a couple of days or whatever. He doesn't want that. Even the Chazal is always talking about how he is the paradigm of honoring a parent. So yes, he's very mad. He should do it, but he's postponing it, and then we're going to see later on when there's the confrontation later on that he doesn't kill. He moves to Seir, he doesn't kill his brother, and that's it. So yes, he's Rabbi Sachs is always saying that Esav is a very sort of like a natural man, hunter, doesn't have a lot of finer feelings, stuff like that. Right. But that he's not bad. He's just, and that's part of the reason why Yitzchak liked him, because he thinks he can take over the political part of the family, that the family needs somebody strong. I don't want to know if you want to say defense, military.
Yeah, we talk about all these things. You're going a little far. I hear what you're saying. I'm going to leave the Rabbi Sachs piece on the side. I'm not sure he just says it gives him that much of a pass, but maybe something like that. I hear what you're saying, and it's also a legitimate way of viewing it. Esav doesn't want to cause his father's death early by creating more anguish for him by killing his own brother, which means his father's other son, in his lifetime. And that might be what Rashi's saying. Kimash mosh lo atzeret abba. Yeah, for sure. But what Rashi added was umidrash agada lekama panim yesh. There are certain other facets that are revealed here in the midrash, and some of those facets have to do with viewing. Rashi didn't quote it, but he says, go look up the midrash. So, the idea here that there is some kind of a hatred that Esav is harboring. He says it to his in his heart. The fact that there is such an inner dialogue, Billy Bo. Chazal want us to understand that the heart tells a person things when the heart speaks. Oftentimes, the heart is in control. Esav speaks, Billy Bo. Rishaim are in the hand of their heart. That so says the book of Tehillim. And that's what we have with Yeravam. Vayomer Yeravam Billy Bo. Vayomer Haman Billy Bo. As opposed to the tzaddik. The tzaddik, their heart is in their control. V'chana medaberet hi al liba. She dictates to her heart. We say heart here, we don't just mean obviously the cardiac muscle. We don't just mean emotions generally, but we mean the dark aspect of the heart that will just guide life and living without any mental process that comes up as part of it. Vayasem Daniel al libo. He placed this matter upon his heart, and that is emulating Hakadosh Baruch Hu. The Midrash says, "Vayomer Hashem el libo." He spoke. God spoke unto his heart. He dictated to his heart, not that his heart was in control. Here, what is it? It's Esav is speaking within his heart as if his heart was some independent, the telltale heart. It was speaking to him independently and telling him what needs to be. And that's, as far as Chazal are concerned, egregious. By the by, Rashi did not quote them. He just said, you could look it up in the Medrash if you want. And ditto, as I'm saying now, about Yikrevu Yemei Evel Avi, the idea that there's some kind of biding of his time that's going on for Esav, and he's thinking about how this will be in the future. He's not there yet, right? There's something with what's the word, with patience. I'm going to wait, and the time will come. The time will be ripe at some point. Maybe it's not, as Karen's saying, that there's some unconscious wish fulfillment. I'm not sure, but there's different possibilities. Tamar, and then I think Deanna had her hand up as well. Tamar, please.
Okay, I'd like to express a few thoughts. First of all, Billy Ball, the way I understand that, is to himself. He's not proclaiming it publicly. He's not saying this aloud. He's saying it to himself, Billy Ball. Secondly, the conversation I'm hearing mostly, except for Shelley, and the Midrashim, I've always interpreted such conversations and such Midrashim as individuals who are so uncomfortable with what has happened that they must throw the blame on Esav. He must be the culprit. He must be the scapegoat. The truth is, the words that he's saying to himself, the thoughts that he's just expressed, are in a fit of anger. We should not judge a person when he's in the depths of anger, having been wronged. He has been wronged. He's very angry. This is his reaction. Even today, in normal conversations, sometimes people say, "I'm going to kill that grocer. He's making me crazy." That person is not harboring a desire to kill the grocer. And that's how I understand Esav's reaction in his pain, in his grief. I am wronged. I'm going to kill him.
Right.
That doesn't mean that all these other explanations of how depraved and he's enraged.
And to prove your point, he never ends up killing Yaakov.
That's right.
I mean, when they meet eventually, they're hugging and kissing.
A typical midrashic reaction when he embraces Yaakov later, the midrash says he wanted to bite him.
That's one of the midrashim, yeah.
It's one of the midrashim.
Which interestingly, Rashi does not quote. Rashi says they loved each other at that moment. But yes, there is a midrash.
But it's typical. It's common. It's a common reaction. They can't accept that Esav has any good in him whatsoever, no matter what he does. Even when he completely forgives his brother, they have him wanting to bite him and to hurt him.
One of the midrashim.
There are
Not
many.
all.
There are many.
You can say you like the other one. The one Rashi quotes. And other times you might have hated him, but here with full love, right? We'll get to the biting when we get to the biting. We'll get to that story with the biting of the neck.
Are there any midrashim? Do any of the mefarshim see it as a person who has been wronged and who's angry, and we can't take those words as a example of evil?
I think on the level of pshat, one could explain it exactly as you're saying it. I appreciate the perspective very much. And as Shelley was pointing out before, death was in the air. So he said, "Oh, my father eventually died. I'm going to kill him." You could say, by the way, charitably, to your point, not only was Esav enraged and therefore he said what he said, he didn't actually literally mean it. It's like a person says it as a form of speech. But even in saying that, even his own rage, he still cared for his father. And Chazal do acknowledge that there was a great love that Esav had, a great respect he had for his father, and that was a redemptive quality that even Esav had, even for all that, as you say, they do paint him in very dark, harsh colors, for sure, for sure. And more to say on it. Deanne's waiting, so I'll go to her. But the excellent points, all excellent points, all. Thank you, Deanne. Please unmute. I don't hear you. Unmute your phone.
There we go. No, I just moving my hand. I didn't have a question.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something. Okay, sorry, I was moving your hand. Didn't realize. Okay, so then let me move to the next pasuk, which maybe will change a little bit of our perspective. If Tamar is correct that it's just sort of idiomatic, that's how people talk. If Shelley's correct, there's nothing else. There's no conspiracy here. They were talking about death. So he's thinking, I'm going to kill my brother. When my father dies, I'm not trying to kill off my father. I hope my father doesn't die for a very long time. I love my father. Look at the next pasuk. How does Rivka receive this news? And even more important question, how does Rivka even know about this information? Vayugad Rivka et divrei Esav ben Hagadol. Rivka was told the words of her son Esav. Now here the Ibn Ezra will give us a great example. Ibn Ezra, Rabbeinu Avraham ben Moshe Ibn Ezra will give us a great example of how we're not in the world of halacha where there's a bottom line and we need to vote and the majority will rule and that's how it is. And in the world of understanding Parshanut Mikra, we could be in a situation where there are two possible interpretations and you choose the one you like more, the one you think is more true, whether you're, depending if you're looking for historical truth and accuracy, if you're looking for moral truth and accuracy, they're not always the same thing. I'm going to give you the example right now. What does Ibn Ezra say? How did she hear? Ibn Ezra, when it says, Vayomer Esav bilibo, he said it in his heart, it means that step one was he said it to his heart, but Yitachen shegala sodo le'echad me'ohavav. It's possible that Esav spoke to some of his friends and he told them what he was planning to do. That's how Rivka found out. Why doesn't the Torah tell us that? Because it wants to amplify that it was really something that it was in his heart, but she had her ways, she found out. V'yesh omrim, some say, al derech nevuah haya. Some say she was a prophet. Here's an example. How did she find out what a person's thinking in their heart? She's a prophetess. Says the Ibn Ezra, v'harishon karov. The first interpretation, I think, is nearer, closer, i.e., I think it's closer to what I'm trying to do, which is to teach you the pshat. Who is the Yesh Omrim? According to the Mossad Rav Kook edition of the Chumash that I like to use in this shir sometimes, it's Rashi. Vayugad Rivka, Rashi, quoting from the Medrash. Rashi didn't make it up. He got it from Breisheet Rabbah. There's an opinion there of how was she told? Beruach HaKodesh hu gadla. With divine inspiration was she told? Masha az Esav Mahar Belibo, what Esav is thinking in his heart. And therefore, it says the pasuk, Vatikrali Yaakov b'na hakatan, vatomer elav, hine Esav achicha mitnachem lecha lohorgecha. So to Tamar's reading, two brothers have a scrap and one brother screams to the other brother from the top of the stairs, out to the street, I'm going to kill you. The mother overhears it. She calls her younger son on the cell phone. You better run and hide. Your brother said he's going to kill you. Really? Is that really how it could have gone down? In other words,
We don't know.
and again, they're not 14, they're grown-ups, but just think about how that's received by Rivka. Tamar, response?
We don't know which words she heard. She may well have heard the words when Esav, in his grief, speaks to his father and says, he's cheated me twice now. She may have heard of that conversation. She may have heard that conversation. We don't know which conversation is being referred to. When she hears that and understands his rage and his pain, she says, you better get out of here.
End of family. I mean, maybe they had ended much earlier, but no one told them, so they were officially living under the same roof, but they were There are a lot of layers of complexity. And here she does call her son, and by the by, Vatishlach vatikra Yaakov benah hakatan. She called her son who was younger, as opposed to her son who is older. But she could have just said, yeah, if it would have said Yaakov benah, we all would have jumped on it and said, she only considers Yaakov her son and not Esav. So there's something here, benah hakatan. Vatomer Elav, she said to him, Hine Esav achicha mitnachem lecha lehorgecha. Esav, your brother. Interesting, not Esav, my son, but Esav, your brother, is right now, say he's considering that he actually wants to kill you. Mitnachem, consoled, but nachem, says Rashi, nicham al ha'achava, lachshov machshava acheret litnaker lecha ulehargecha. He is rethinking, he's regretting in a certain way his brotherhood. That he's thinking another way now. He's now trying to make himself more distant from you in order to be able to kill you. The Medrash, Rashi says, that was the pshat for Rashi. The Medrash, Rashi says, Midrash Agada, that he quotes here, is telling us, Kvar ata meit be'inav, v'shata alecha kos shel tanchumim. In his eyes, you're already dead, and he's already drinking from the cup of consolation, i.e., it's over. Mitnachem lecha lehorgecha. The pshat of lashon tanchumim, what means what? Mitnachem hu ala brachot ba'arigatcha. He'll be consoled with regard to the brachot when he kills you. He'll feel better that at least no one got the brachot. That's Rashi's read from the Medrash. In other words, Rashi also here is going back and forth between what he thinks is the pshat and what he thinks is the layer of Medrash. I want to underscore again, a moment ago I made the methodological point that there could be two parallel interpretations, and even Ezra sometimes will choose which one he thinks is closer to the pshat. That's what he's trying to do, is understand pshat. But now another point. Rashi lives more harmoniously, you could say, with the world of Midrash, something to be integrated, but not necessarily superseding the pshat interpretation itself. It's Rashi's rendering of what pshat is. And because if you picture it as sort of two different magisteria, but that sometimes have some kind of overlap, for Ibn Ezra, it will be more atomized. I'm choosing this way or that way, and so I choose the one over the other. For Rashi, you could see it this way, and this sort of overlap, there's another layer going on, so maybe underneath, of Medrash, because why did the Torah go out of its way to use that expression? In other words, if really Esav is making himself more foreign, he's distancing himself from you, then it would have just said, Lihitnaker would be someone who is deliberately doing something to show distance. We have this example when the brothers arrive in front of Yosef, it uses the same language. The Nochri is a foreigner. Lihitnaker is to make one seem foreign. Initially, when the brothers come stand before Yosef, he disguises himself. It uses that same kind of language. Here, that's not what the Torah uses. It's used the word mitnachem, which implies either the relenting, the changing of a mind, or the consolation. And those are not the same word, but they're in the same family as well. They all have to do with changing a perspective, a shift. So therefore, Rashi is willing to include in his commentary, though he explained that mitnachem here means your brother is relenting upon, he is regretting and moving back on some thoughts and feelings he might have had of affinity, of fraternity that he used to have. But then he allows for the midrash as well. And the midrash is either he's already drinking from the cup of consolation, he's dead. It's like a person would say also in a fit of rage, he's dead to me. But he didn't just mean it like I'm cutting off my brother. It means I'm going to cut off my brother. I'm going to cut off his life. And therefore, so I'm already drinking from the cup. It's already a done deal. Or third interpretation, which seems to be also, it is on the level of pshat of the word tanchumim, but the mitnachem lecha hargecha is contextually related to the brachot. He wants to be consoled over the brachot. So he will be consoled regarding the brachot by killing you. Two interpretations, there's really three if you think about it, right? Because pshat, when we say the word pshat, We want to know what is the direct, I'd almost say literal meaning of the words that we're reading. And as I always say, every translation is an interpretation. So how do we translate various words? Well, why did the Torah use that word and not another word in the context in which it was spoken by the speaker, by the person interpreting, the person who apparently spoke, as Tamar pointed out, other sentiments, which could have been other sentiments in the world of the brachot, verbally, divrei, what he spoke. I overheard him saying to your father, basically, he's going to kill you. How did I hear it? In his blood-curdling scream of rage that we read about from a few psukim ago. Or bringing back Ibn Ezra, I overheard from some of his friends that he's telling his friends already that he's plotting to kill you. Or she's a prophetess and she has that sixth sense, but not just that. More than that, Kadosh Baruch Hu conveys to her, Esav's going to kill Yaakov if you don't get him out of the house. Again, there are questions on all sides of this, right? Like here also, why didn't she just go in and ask Yitzchak, what did you do? What are we going to do now? Why didn't she confront Esav? She felt she couldn't. Why did she go to Yaakov? Why didn't Hashem just tell Yaakov, if everyone's at such a high level, Yaakov's about to have this big dream with the ladders. So how about Ruach HaKodesh telling Yaakov, you better get out of the house, better leave, better escape, better run. How about telling Yitzchak, your son who you just gave that bracha to, is about the only person to get through to Yitzchak, to Esav is Yitzchak, right? So if there's Ruach HaKodesh going on over here, Ruach HaKodesh, I mean, who am I? Why am I, playing God? But I'm telling God what to do. But why doesn't a Kadosh Baruch Hu just tell Yitzchak? And it would say, Esav, I know you're very angry. Promise me now. Put your hand, under my thigh, as the expression goes in Parshat Chayei Sarah and in Parshat Vayechi. Swear to me you'll never kill your brother. That would have worked. He loved his father, but none of that. Instead, we're still moving the shells around, the shell game. Is it under here? Is it under here? So Rivka interprets what she heard about the brachot. That wouldn't make sense. Mitnachem l'chal hargecha. He's going to kill you in order to be consoled over the loss of the blessings. I hear it in the timbre of his voice, even though it wasn't expressed. And yeah, Rivka, actually, you're right. You know what? The Torah testifies that is what was going on in his heart. It even tells us that the verse before. Alternatively, she heard from friends. Alternatively, she's a prophetess. Any of those are possible. And any of those are possible, then how you understand the word mitnachem in Rashi. Mitnachem, the relationship between brothers. Mitnachem, he's consoling himself that you're dead, because in his eyes, you're already dead. Number 3, he will be consoled when he kills you. About the brachot. That's what it's going to take. 3 different interpretations of Rashi, A, B, C. And which one is right? You choose. Yeah. Karen, please go ahead.
Oh, there we go. I'm going to throw something into the mix because yesterday I watched a series on TV about Bernie Madoff. And okay, you'll wonder, how does this fit in here? Okay. So what it seems is, here is a man who apparently loved his family, and yet he was completely sociopathic besides. And my thinking has been, did he really love his family, or did he want his family's approval? Was that part of his pathology, that he wanted approval more than he wanted to do for? So whatever it was he was doing was maybe to make them respect him more and make him love him more and put him up on a pedestal. And I'm wondering, maybe if we think of Esau as not as a Bernie Madoff, but you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting idea about, we talk about him loving his father, but there's different
ways that expresses
nuances of what that is.
Thank you. That's a great point. That's a great point. I have to think about how it plays in terms of, he wanted his father's approval, and not his mother's approval, by the way.
Mm-hmm. But his father, when he didn't get it, he burst into tears like a little boy. So there's something to be said. What is it? Is that he loved his father so much, or that he wanted to be loved by his father? So I don't have an answer to it, but I thought, as you were talking, that it's an interesting point.
Thank you for that. Great. Thank you. Wonderful. So Good. So a few weeks ago, I had mentioned that one could view the end of Parashat Toldot, this whole story, as a massive chiastic structure. For those who do not recall or uninitiated, or for whom it's complex, a chiastic structure is a poetic structure that we find in Tanakh on many different occasions. A chiasmus means essentially there's A on the outside, B inside, C, D, and E in the middle. And it could be any number of letters, right? That's just for purposes of, so the outer branch, the inner branches, and everything comes to something that's in the middle of the story. So what's interesting is that earlier on in the story, we had Rivka Imenu telling her son, and now my son, listen to what I'm going to instruct you. We saw that already previously toward the beginning of the parak. The opening part of the parak was a father calling in his son and asking his son to go do his bidding. So that's the outer layer. Then following on that was a mother speaking to her son about something she overheard. A mother, same woman, Rivka, speaking to her son, the same son, Yaakov, telling him, here's what's going to happen and here's what you need to do. So Pasuk Mem Gimel verse 43, Vata v'ni shema b'koli v'kum brach lecha el Lavan achi Harana. Go run away to my brother Lavan. Your brotherly relationship, Yaakov, my dear child, is shattered. I still have a brotherly relationship. Maybe you can go there. This will be a theme in Vayetze as well. Yaakov's ongoing search for a brother. But here, she's telling Yaakov what she needs him to do for his own good, for his own safety, and something about not wanting to confront the issues at hand directly with Yitzchak, maybe even with Esav, but to do it in a roundabout, indirect manner. V'yashavta imo yamim achadim ad asher tashuv chamat achicha. You will be with him for a few days. Yamim achadim, really achadim, Rashi says muatim, specifically very few days. Chizkuni already thinks that yamim achadim means one yamim. What is yamim? Year. 1 year. 1 years. Let's say it in the plural. And so spend a year there. That's how long it will take. It was much more than a year. It was 20 something years till he, right? 20 plus years till he saw his brother again. But just to consider what it means that she wants him to be there to calm the tempest that is within Esav and within the family. Jerry, please go ahead.
The Yamim Achadim is also used with Rivka. They ask the servant, let her stay with us a few days rather than go. The end of that story when she chooses to leave immediately. They use the same phrase.
Oh, excellent. Was that in Chaye Sarah? Was that the language that was used actually?
It's actually, they ask the servant, let her stay a few Yamim Achadim, and they turn to her and ask her what she wants, and she says,
"Oh, excellent, excellent, excellent." So in other words, they actually, right? That's when they want to delay. They want to delay Rivka Imenu from going.
That's right.
So they want her to stay home. Now the language used there is, I just looked it up on my screen here. V'yomer achia v'ima teshev hana'ara itanu yamim o asor achar telech. So she could stay here for just like, a few years or maybe a decade kind of thing, maybe. Or she could just go with you now. And then he says, don't delay me and let's ask her what she, what she thinks, right? By the way, Yamim there could have been literally days or 10 days, could have been something like that, just to delay a little bit. But I thought you were going to say Yamim Achadim is going to come, exactly that expression, further along in chapter 29, in Perek Chavtet, when Yaakov is working in order to earn Rachel, it says that even though it was 7 years, Vayu ve'inav ki yamim achadim, it felt like a few days. The expression achadim is it's a year, or a few years, gonna feel just like a few days. And that's sort of what she tells her son. The clincher, though, for me, we have only a few minutes left, is verse 45. You should stay there. Ad shuv af achicha mimcha v'shachach et asher asita lo. Staggering. He will forget what you did to him. An acknowledgement that you did things to him. He will forget it. V'shalachti, I will send for you. Ulekachticha misham, I will call you from there. But here's the most important, to me, the most important few words that Rivka speaks to Yaakov. Lama eshkal gam shnechem yom echad. Why should I be bereaved of both of you in one day? Right? The one who is shakul, shin chaf lamed, is one law lady who buries the children, or a child. So lama eshkal shnechem, gam shnechem, yom echad. So she doesn't want to be, as Rashi puts it, if he comes after you to kill him, if he comes after you to kill you, you're going to end up killing him. Then his sons will get up and kill you. I don't want you. I don't want, and therefore, everyone will be bereaved. I don't want a blood feud to continue between you. And Rashi throws in that Ruach HaKodesh came into her mouth, and indeed that they on the same day, the two of them were destined to die. The Gemara says that Yaakov and Esav ended up dying on the same day. That's who ended up dying. Okay, there are other midrashim that directly contradict the idea that Yaakov and Esav died the same day, having to do with midrashim actually in Parshat Vayechi about Esav contesting the burial of Yaakov in Mar Machpelah, and the Torah testifies that Yaakov had already been dead for many days. But whatever, that's Rashi over here. You have to reconcile another time with something else. But what she says, what Rivki Mena says, it would matter to me if both of my children died on the same day. It would matter to me if both of my children died either, no matter what. Lama eshkal, I don't want them to die. Yeah. So and the point here is she doesn't want to be bereaved of her children, both children. She didn't choose one over the other. She accepts both. I have Shoshi waiting, and then Helen and Tamar. So Shoshi, go ahead, please.
So that it's interesting to me that that's the part that you're focusing on, because to me it's Asita. Look what you did.
She acknowledges. By the way, she put him up to it. Remember?
That's what I'm saying. She takes no responsibility. Asita, you did
Interesting.
that? Well,
And he'll forget.
you're
Don't worry,
wrong
he'll
on
forget
this.
what you did to him. Yeah.
Wait, Rivka, wait. You started this whole thing.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that piece of it.
Excellent point. And I guess, what should I say? Sometimes we don't see what we ourselves do.
But this is Tanakh. I mean, this is the Torah telling it to us. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, v'shachach et asher asita lo, does it mean literally what you did to him? I think it does. On another level, though, since we should say he's going to forget what he perceives that you did to him. He says, because Esav says, stole the birthright from me, even though it was sold, and stole the bracha from me.
Look
And that
at
second
her
one, he's got a good point.
I mean, look at her perspective of it's shocking to me that this is how she sees the whole story.
Yeah. Fine. Yeah. But the point was the immediacy for her, the urgency was, if you don't leave right now, he's going to kill you, you're going to kill him, whatever it's going to be, each one will kill the other. So that was the main piece. But you're absolutely right. It says he'll forget what you did to him. Forget what you did to him. She's the one who started it.
She started the whole deceit happened. She started this whole Peace.
That is one of the layers of what's going on here, for sure. For sure. She put him up to it. She told him to do it. She said, "Alai kilat chabani, upon me is going to be your curse." She said that beforehand. And now what happens? You might as well be the one to leave.
Keep trusting
You
me.
know,
Keep,
you're going
look
to be
what
have
I'm
to be the one to go. What can we do? Yeah.
Well, she keeps saying, trust me. I'm telling you what to do. Trust me, trust me, trust
Agreed.
me.
Agreed. For sure. Thank you. Helen, you're waiting. Go ahead, please.
Okay, in Shira Shirim, we have the phrase "V'shakula ein bahem" regarding the beautiful teeth, but
Yes.
that interpretation is missing, not exactly dead. Okay, that's one point. Another point, we're going back and forth about how evil is Esav. So we reminded about his personality first. He's introduced
Right.
as East Side. He already is a person that hunts, and killing is not new to him.
True.
And then one more point,
Yes.
late Rabbi Ben Zion Kaganoff.
Oh, I wasn't so gonna know him. I was in Chicago. Yeah.
Right. He made a mushal of two mountains, and pebbles are gently falling down into the valley. It takes a long time regarding evil. Think about those pebbles. It takes a long time before you really see that the valley is loaded with evil already. It takes many years for that evil to develop.
But I'm not sure what you're referring. So the evil of Esav?
That, we started off, he's just an East Side, a hunter. But because he has that ability to hunt and kill, the pebbles are falling down, that he's accelerating the ability to tolerate that kind of evil that's in him already. I don't know.
I think excellent point. I think that's why she took it so seriously. I mean, this is not what Tamar was saying before, but it's a fair point. It wasn't for him. It wasn't necessarily a figure of speech, because he's loaded up with weapons and because he works with weapons. And when he says something like that, you don't just take it lightly, because he has a propensity towards violence, right? I mean,
Right.
That's what it seems to be. That's what it seems to be.
And
So
back to the Shakula, is it missing or dead? How would you interpret Shakula then?
I think it really does refer to bereaved over a loss.
Okay.
Referring specifically to death. I think that is what's being referenced. I think.
Okay.
That is my sense of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay. Someone else had their hand up. I don't remember who it is now. Tamar, closing comment, because it's already 10 o'clock and I want to let you go.
Rivka herself acknowledges in her speech that we just read that she knows that Esav is now in the heat of anger.
Right.
Of anger, he's made certain statements, and she knows that he will regret those words, or at least not carry them out. She says, he's hot and angry now. Give him time. He'll calm down. She doesn't feel there's a long, that this is a serious plan for killing his brother. She
Not
feels
for the long term, because it seems that he's so impetuous. Maybe she feels he'll forget it in 10 minutes.
you can, that's a midrashic way of saying it, I guess.
Okay. But it's still legitimate. It's a way of understanding it. Huh? So we're worthy of consideration. Anyway, always much more to say. Wish we had more time. We will, God willing, resume next week. In 2 weeks, we will not have Shir, but next week there will be a Shir, God willing, on the 16th. I wish everyone a great day, great continued learning. I'll see you soon. Thursday, we're also going to learn, by the way, at 9:30. So you're welcome to join for that.